and welcome to Vicarious Voyages. I'm Sandra Harvey, and today we have two books from Books A Million. The first one is Picker McClicker, The Rest of the Story, and the second is The Wump World by Bill Peet. So stay tuned for Picker McClicker, The Rest of the Story.
Picker McClicker, The Rest of the Story by Alan Johnson, Jr., illustrated by Stephen Hansen. Well, what have we got here? I know what you youngins want. You want to hear the rest of the story about my little brother Picker. I promised to tell it to you, and I will just as soon as everybody gets comfortable. Sit right here in the swing, sweetie. Jody, you curl up in the chair. Let me see now, where was I? I remember. My little brother Picker had got himself a banjo just like Daddy's. It was a beauty, but trouble was, Picker was too small to play it by himself. For a couple of years, all Picker could do was sit next to Daddy on the swing and do the strumming while Daddy played the chords. He was mighty quick with the strumming, but he had to wait 2 or 3 years before he grew enough to start playing the left hand. Before that happened, Picker had started school. We all went to a little country school outside of Evergreen, Alabama. There were only about 15 kids in the whole school. You remember I told you that Picker was a peaceful, dreamy little boy. Well, he was, too. That's why nobody could ever believe how quick he was with his hands. It just didn't seem possible that such a dreamy little guy could move so fast. The first week Picker was at school, something kind of interesting happened. One day after school had let out, Picker had gone back inside to get a book he'd forgotten. The schoolroom window was open, and Picker heard little Billy Benners crying out in the schoolyard. Picker stuck his head out the window and saw Jake Cotter, a big, tough 4th grader, picking on Billy. Jake had knocked him down, and little Billy was scared and crying. I'd just come out of the school and was going to help little Billy when I heard Picker holler out of the window.
"Cut that out, Jake! Leave him alone!"
Jake looked up, saw Picker leaning out the window, and yelled at him.
"Come out here and I say that, you little runt. I'll fix you too."
"I'm coming!"
hollered Picker.
"The little runt's your brother?"
Jake asked me.
"Yup,"
I says.
"You better take him home before he gets hurt,"
he says.
"Nope,"
I says, and about then there comes Picker with a handful of different colored pieces of chalk. By this time, there were a bunch of kids standing around watching. Picker helped little Billy up and brushed him off. But Jake grabbed Picker by the shoulder, turned him around, and started swinging at him. Of course, he never touched Picker. By the time Jake quit swinging, Picker had done a job on him. Jake's shirt was covered with different colored polka dots. When he looked down and saw his shirt, he got really mad. He wore himself out swinging at Picker, but he never did hit him. When he ran out of steam, Jake had orange ears, a yellow face, a red nose, and a green circle around each eye. He looked confused, and all the other kids were laughing at him. He looked around, kind of wild-eyed, and then spun around and lit out for home. That was the last time Jake Cotter ever picked on anybody. Picker never paid much attention to his talent, though. About the only time we saw him in action was during the cotton harvest when he'd picked the cotton crop. He was so fast that there wasn't any point in the rest of us picking. We'd just go along and hand Picker empty bags and load up the full ones on the trailer behind the tractor. When Picker wasn't helping in the fields or doing chores, he'd go off with our old hound, Bone, to explore in the woods or catch crawfish out of Leafy Creek. He took to reading storybooks, too. By that time, I was big enough to be helping Daddy a lot. Rufus and Sally and Amy Lou would be chasing around playing tag or getting into mischief. But Picker would be under the shade tree with his nose in a book. Well, that year, after Picker had started 2nd grade, the county fair set up outside of Evergreen. There were a few dollars left over from Picker's prize money that he'd won in the grape picking contest over in France. So Picker asked Daddy if we could all go to the fair and get some cotton candy and corn dogs and ride the bump cars and maybe go through the House of Horrors. We were all sitting on the front porch after supper. Daddy had just lit up his pipe.
"Sure, son,"
he said.
"It'd be fun to go to the fair this year, but I got another idea. There's gonna be a banjo picking contest at the fair tomorrow evening. How'd you like to get in it?"
Picker had grown so much that Daddy had started to teach him how to play left hand on the banjo. He still wasn't really big enough, so Daddy made a stand to hold the banjo. Pretty soon Picker had learned to play Mississippi Sawyer and Soldier's Joy, and he added some fancy stuff to these songs that none of us had ever heard before. He made them sound real pretty.
Heck, Daddy, I only know 2 songs,
said Picker.
You only need one, son. Each player's gonna play one song. You won't win the contest 'cause Slim Tuttle's gonna be there, and he wins it every year. Still, it might be fun for you to have a chance to play for some folks. Good experience, too. Who knows, maybe you'll be a sure enough player one of these days. Do you think it would make you nervous to get up on that stage?
No, sure.
said Picker.
I don't hardly get nervous. It might be kind of fun to try.
Great,
said Rufus.
We'll all get in the audience and holler and clap for you.
Well, sir, that next Saturday we all went to the fair, and we had our little 4-year-old cousin Jessie with us. We'd all been riding the bump cars and were thirsty and excited. Mom was buying us snow cones when we noticed little Jessie was gone. Mom got scared because there were so many folks at the fair it was easy for a child to get lost. But Sally spotted her standing by a table where a man was pushing around some walnut shells. She was crying.
"What's the matter, sweetie?"
Daddy asked her. In between sobs, Jessie told Daddy what had happened.
The man said if I gave him a quarter and I could guess which shell the pea was under 3 times in a row, I could win that beautiful coonskin cap. I kept on trying. Now he got all Jessie's money.